Good afternoon and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader. And before we begin, we're going to go through our risk disclosure. So we're going to go ahead and do just that here. Okay. All right. So just to remind everyone, morning, Dirk. Just to remind everyone that the content that's being, good morning, Carrie. Just want to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader and its affiliates is to be treated as general information only. None of the information by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice and offered to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security company or fund. We all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It is not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used when trading. And only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or Forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Morning, DeAndre. Morning, MS. Okay. So now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, guys, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the news. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do just that. Okay, so we're going to go share, go down to Financial Juice, click on share. Okay, we're going to move this up here just to make it clear. Okay, so just kind of confirming that everybody is able to see this. Morning. Okay, all right, so we're just going to go ahead and again take a look at what news do we have in store or coming up in the session that could potentially impact us in the markets. Okay, so we have the biggest one, I guess, today would be those who trade crude oil. Okay, crude oil traders. Today we have inventories. Okay, inventory reports, much similar to if you're not familiar with them. That basically communicate whether we over the last week whether we had an excess or maybe a higher demand on inventory. Okay, congratulations, Trader Dubois. Excellent. Okay, glad to hear that. Okay, all right. Yeah, so we have the EIA report. We have a number of kind of announcements. We have Fed members speaking, Barkin speaking, we have Goolsbee speaking, and then we have some additional executive orders, and then I guess the pending I guess meeting that Trump is having with the Russian president on the potential end of the Ukrainian war. Obviously, that could potentially impact the markets. And then we have, I thought we were kind of out of the woods here on earnings, but looks like we have Cisco reporting earnings here after the bell. Okay. All right. So now that we are reviewed our news, okay, we're going to turn our attention over to the platform. Okay. And take a look at the markets. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and open that up here. We're going to go ahead and start off with the gold market. We're going to turn off our initial balance range. Is that the initial balance? May not be. Let's see. We're going to remove. No, it must be something. Here's our initial balance. Okay. All right, so let's start off again like we normally do. Okay, in these sessions we review the gold, the crude oil, and then we close off with the equity markets, as you know. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the gold market. We're going to go ahead and start off with the daily chart here. Okay. And looking at the daily chart again, we thought maybe there might have been that we might be in a position where we might get a move here. We had a little bit of a reversal pattern, a pretty daunting reversal pattern. We call this, it's got island top reversal pattern, right? But again, it just appears that we continue to develop this consolidation pattern, right? So we have this kind of pattern going on here, right? We've already talked about this at some length. We have this ascending wedge that's developing in this market, right? While I don't know the direction, okay, of this market, the eventual direction of this market, I do know the magnitude of the move. Okay, so this consolidation pattern is going to produce a pretty significant move. Okay, something in the order, if we're just going to go top to bottom here, okay, it's going to produce a move that's either going to take us down to the 3,000 level, okay, 30, maybe 3,100, 3060, 3065, or it's going to take us up to somewhere in the 3,800 level. Okay, what I don't know is which direction is that going to be. Now, if I'm going to use history, I'm going to use history as my guide, then I would say that it's most likely going to be to the upside. Okay, but there's no guarantee of that. All right. So daily chart, we remain in some sort of consolidation. Okay. With a resistance up above here at this 3480, 3500 level. All right. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, kind of looking at the most recent kind of price action that we received in this market. Okay, so we had starting with Friday, right? We had a pretty good sell-off, right? Pretty good sell-off on Friday on the gold market, and I think there was maybe an impression that maybe the market was turning here. Okay, so Friday into Sunday, we started to the momentum to the downside started to level off, right? Started to level off into Monday. We were kind of in range, right? I think there was a maybe an expectation, maybe an unrealistic expectation that we were going to continue lower. Okay, so we remained in range, and looks like during the London session, looks like we picked up some interest here. Okay, so it looks like maybe we've gotten some buyers to potentially step into this market. Now, the structure on the 4-hour still remains to the bearish side. This one candle wiped out a lot of hopeful sellers in this market. Okay, so there's the potential that the market may be moving on the 4-hour chart from a market that's been I guess mostly neutral to a market that could potentially rally. Okay, let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, we're going to kind of widen up our candles here. Okay, and we're going to remove whatever drawings we have. We're going to take a look at the fixed range volume profile, because I always like to look at where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, so we're going to go from here all the way across to the close. Okay, so you can see we're at an important decision. Okay, we are at value area high. Now, assuming that we are going to remain in this bullish structure, right? We already have evidence of that, right? We're above settlement. We're above VWAP. We're going to go ahead and add our anchored VWAP. We're going to add our anchored VWAP here to the, I like placing it around London. Okay. So at the open of London here. Okay. So you can see, so a little bit of mixed bag here, right? So London was bullish. Now price managed to get below London session, but we're still above the daily. Okay, so kind of a little bit of a mixed bag here, right? So the question now becomes, we'll open up initial balance here. Not for, okay, so London, you can see here, right? London, this is the London IB initial balance session, provided us a nice move to the upside. Okay, so London was higher. Let's take a look at Asia. Well, that was Asia. Okay, so Asia higher. Okay, I suspect London is going to tell us the same. Change this to London. Okay. London also higher, but we're back inside the range. Okay. So whatever momentum that we picked up to the upside, okay, we've actually retraced here a bit back to an unknown level. Okay. Back to a level where we can maybe reasonably take an execution. Okay. So we're at a level now, right, where we're at an area, right? We're at an area where we've seen buyers in the past. So I would say, where's my daily? It's the blue one, the darker blue. Oh, it's not anchored. This is not an anchored VWAP. This is just the standard VWAP. So with the open of each day, this just continues. It's a continuous VWAP. Okay, right. So it's the standard VWAP. All right. So the dark blue, this is not anchored in any way. Okay. This is just a continuous VWAP. Okay. The one that I have anchored is for London, just so that gives me kind of a view of what London was able to do with this. Okay. So we're at an interesting point in the market, right? Do we hold above? Right now, it seems like we are trying to, right? We are trying to hold above this value area high. So we're entering into an area of some support, and this area here could provide us. I'm going to go ahead and now change this over to the U.S. session. Okay, could provide us a opportunity, right, for a potential reversal. Okay, could provide us a opportunity for a potential reversal. We're at a good location of value, right? We're at a good location of value. Now, that does not mean that it has to reverse here, okay? But we are in a logical area where we could see a reversal. So now what we need is to give us is for price. Okay, this is kind of where kind of price channels help me here a little bit. Okay, this is where I look at the 15-minute chart. Right. This is where I look at the 15-minute chart. Yes, 3,500 continues to hold, but right. So as long as we maintain this channel right to the bearish side, then we have to remain bearish. Okay. But if we, as M is suggesting here, right, if we break out of this area, okay, we break out of this area with some volume, that could cause us to revisit the highs. Okay. So as long as we remain in the channel, then our view remains, there's really nothing to do on the bullish side. Okay. But we are coming into some areas, VWAP being a kind of our market sentiment indicator, right? And it is sloping higher, right? So all indications, at least for now, we are in a bearish channel, but we are coming into an area where we could potentially see a bounce. Okay. So headed into the session here, I guess I'm a cautious bull. Okay. I'm not really interested in selling into demand zones. Okay. Or support areas. I'm not really interested in that. I've been down that path before. It hasn't always been successful here, right? So if I am a seller, I feel like I am paying a little bit of retail here down at the lows, right, of this swing. If I'm a seller, I need to look for maybe a location above me, right, to offer me maybe an opportunity to participate. Right now, this is kind of a level here. We're kind of retracing here a little bit. But I need some sort of indication, right? I need some sort of price to close below. And we've gotten some of that already, but we are coming in now into an area of support. All right. Okay. So that's kind of what I have for the gold market. I'm going to pause here to see if there's any questions before I move on to the crude oil market. I don't see them, so we'll move on. Looking at the crude oil market. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the daily. Okay, so it looks like the daily, maybe we've awoken some buyers here. Okay, we still remain in bearish structure in this market, right? We still are making lower lows and lower highs, right? Lower lows and lower highs in this market. Even though we're starting to see a little bit more in the way of participation on the bullish side, Okay, we have yet to break any structure on the daily chart to the upside. None at all, right? So the path of least resistance again remains to the downside. Now, are we coming into areas where we could see some support? And the answer is yes. Okay, so right here around the 61 level, 61, okay, does appear to be a supportive area in this market. Okay, so while we remain bearish, we're not going to be bearish forever, right? There are going to be some pockets where we're going to get a little bit of a rally. 61 is that level, okay, for me for now. Moving down to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, again, we're going to go ahead and turn off initial balance here for a moment. The market's going to open here in a few minutes. Now, as a reminder, guys, we know that today is EIA, okay? So we have the inventory reports today that could cause the market to be a bit more volatile than normal, okay? So leading up to the EIA report, I'm not expecting much in the way. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen early, okay? Otherwise, we're probably going to be in some sort of range, in some sort of kind of sluggish price action leading up to the report. That's how it normally behaves here. Okay. So as you can see, right, we continue to be making lower lows and lower highs. Okay. Lower lows and lower highs. We starting to see maybe a little bit more in the way of participation on the buy side, right? So it's not just a straight bear. We are seeing this is kind of a normal kind of price progression. We just happen to be in a bearish market at the moment. Okay. Moving on to the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart here. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit of volume analysis. We're going to start with our fixed range volume profile and get a sense for what the range is provided here. Not for the U.S. The New York session just opened. We're going to start with Tokyo. Tokyo really is not a crude oil area that moves, but tail end, well, actually more on the during the New York session, the London session, we got a little bit of a move here. Okay, so Asia didn't really offer much in the way of a direction. Right, it was pretty neutral. London offered a little bit of an extension to the downside and kind of found some support here around 62.60. Okay. We're going to go ahead now and open up the developing, right? The developing session. Got two initial balances here. We'll turn one off here. Okay. This is, I believe this is London. Yeah, London. Okay. So London, also a little bit on the rangy side. We did get an extension to the downside, but then we've rallied all the way up to the other side of the initial balance range. And now we're inside the initial balance range, inside some area of balance here. Okay. So we're going to go ahead now and turn on the initial balance range for the day session. Okay. So you can see that we're developing a little bit of a bearish candle. No surprise here, right? This is an area, right? If we are if we are in some sort of range, right? And how do we know we're in range? Well, if I can contain price with a box, then I'm in range. Okay, right? I can contain, right, the most recent price action in a box, so that means I'm in a range. All right. So right now we're coming off the top end of the range, and it looks like it's maybe providing us maybe it's going to provide us maybe another leg of the range back to the downside. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our anchored VWAP here, where I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what London had to say about all of this here. Okay. All right. So we're London, we are above VWAP. Daily, our daily VWAP, we're above that as well. Price is kind of reacting, I guess, away from our settlement price from yesterday. Okay, we'll have to wait and see how this this candle plays out. But it looks like maybe there's a possibility, right, that it wants to make maybe another swing to the other edge of the range. Okay, it'll be interesting to see if we manage to hold above either of these VWAPs that we have here. Okay. So again, a little bit of a mixed bag. We have a couple of things indicating that maybe we're headed higher, but we're seeing some rejection above here around 63.30. So headed into this session, I would say that we are in some sort of range, and maybe this next leg is going to be to the downside. Okay, we'll have to see how price behaves around this VWAP range area. But looking at the slope of the VWAP, right? The slope of the VWAP up until most recently has been to the downside. Okay. All right, let's go ahead now and turn our attention to the Nasdaq. All right, we've been in somewhat of a bullish market of late. All right, we're going to go ahead and start off with the daily chart. Okay, so you can see if this is not bullish, I don't know what is. Okay, we have yet another candle that is to the upside. Now, I don't know if I probably have done this exercise with you guys. And again, obviously, this is not going to happen necessarily today. But if we want to forecast where where price could go, doing a measure like this would give us some indication. I think I might have done this already with you guys, but 24,306, 24,306 does not seem like an unrealistic target for this move. Okay, on the daily, and then we have 25,182 would be the 100% extension, or as you might hear it referred to as a measured move. Right, this is our measure. Right, from here to here, measured move could lead us up to 25,157 in this market. Okay, moving down to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart here, we're going to go ahead and turn off initial balance for a moment. Okay, again, we're creating our kind of a staircase to the upside, right? Higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We've broken some structure here to the upside, which is also bullish. So everything here is indicating that there is more upside here. Okay, I'm looking to the left, and I think we're already beyond some of these levels. I'm going to take a quick peek here at see the weekly, see where we're at here, but I suspect that we're in new territory here. Okay, let's take a quick peek to the left. Is there anything to the left? Nothing to the left. Okay, so we're at all time highs here in the market. Okay. Looks in time frames through and through like those are POCs separated by sessions. Okay. So again, nothing that necessarily is standing in the way of this move. Okay, right now, just looking at the weekly chart. Let's go back down to the 30-minute chart. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look and do a little bit of volume analysis. Okay, so I already see a couple of indicators here that is offering us or indicating to me that maybe we continue to be in a bullish environment. Now, we are a bit extended. Okay, we are a bit extended away from daily VWAP and settlement price. Now, like I said, VWAP serves as kind of a rubber band, right? Settlement is pretty low, right? Price, right? VWAP serves as kind of a rubber band. The more we stretch the rubber band, the more likely it wants to come back to revisit it. I used to have this saying, "Have you hugged your VWAP today?" Right? Because there's always price always wants to gravitate to volume weighted average price, right? That's the, I would say, is perceived value, okay, based on volume. All right. So we have price well above our VWAP. I'm going to go ahead and draw in our anchored VWAP here to start London right here. Okay, so we're above our anchor VWAP for London. Again, another indication of bullish price action. And then we're going to go ahead and draw in our fixed range volume profile for the start of yesterday's session here. Okay, so let me locate yesterday's session right about here, drag that across to here. Okay, and you can see that we're well above value, right? This being this would be kind of an area that I wanted to identify as an area of maybe some potential support in this market, right? If we are going to remain bullish, okay, and not move into some sort of balance range, then this would be a logical level. This 23,950 would be a nice logical level for price to come back to. It's also around the vicinity of settlement price, right? So I mean, there could be an opportunity where we kind of fill the gap here, right? So we had a close down below. At some point, maybe we come down to revisit some of this level down below. Okay. Your fib retracement, you must enter shadow or not. Fib retracement, you must enter. I'm not sure. I maybe Dubois, you can maybe rephrase your question. I'm not sure I understand it. Okay. All right. So right now we are in some bullish price action, initial balance. We're just going to take a peek here on initial balance here for fib extension. Okay, you want me to do a little bit of fib extension here on this? Let's see, I don't know. See, I'm not seeing a really solid pullback at the moment here. Okay, let's look at this most recent one. Okay, let's look at this most recent swing. All right, let's open up this here. So let's take a look at this swing that caused us to leave this, come back down to here. So we've already reached the 61.8 point extension. So based on this swing, okay, it appears that 24,061, okay, is not out of the cards, right? That would be a forecast for this move right here. Okay, if we measure this swing in this pullback, 2461 is kind of what we're looking at here, right? But again, I'm not a fan, okay, of buying retail, right? I'm a guy that likes to pay as much of a discount as I can, okay? Buying up at this level, I feel I would have a hard time sitting through any sort of adverse price action against me. So I'm going to be looking for some sort of pullback. I've already kind of identified a level here at value area high. If we can get back to VWAP, that might be another logical area, or this daily VWAP at 23,975. That would be also another logical area for a continuation move to the upside. Okay, we are a bit extended. We've created a little bit of a gap. Chances are we maybe over the course of the session here we'll fill this gap before we continue on the upside. Okay, all right. Let's see my visible range volume profile here to the right. Okay, so yeah, you can see that we are above value across the board, right? So we are in some sort of trend, bullish trend in this market. Okay, entering into this headed into the session. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the ES. I suspect the ES is going to tell us something similar. Okay, now the Dow yesterday actually I thought was the most bearish, ended up turning to be the most bullish. Okay, of the markets, provided a little extension move in yesterday's session. All right, so let's take a look at the daily. Okay, let's see what the daily's telling us. Okay, so here we are. Yeah, no worries, Dubois. I'm good. I understand. Okay. All right. All right. So here we are. Here we are with the ES. I guess similar to what we were seeing in the Nasdaq. Okay. We continue to break structure to the upside. We made a very nice close. Right. Very nice close of the market yesterday. Right. Closed a very nice bullish engulfing candle here. And it made a new high here, right? It broke structure above to the upside. And what do we have today? Well, we have yet another developing bullish candle to the upside. Okay. Now, looking at this, this is kind of more easier for me to kind of gauge, right? If I take a measure here from here to here, down to here, okay. Well, for the ES, here are a couple of areas, a couple of targets we could potentially see. all right, in this market, right? We have 65.65. That would be the 61.8% extension of this move. And then 100% extension is 67.61. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen today, okay? I'm not saying that this is going to happen today, but this is kind of the path in which this market is headed, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here, okay? We're going to turn off initial balance here, okay? I'm going to open this up here. Okay, so again, similar to what we were seeing in the Nasdaq, right? We are continuing to staircase up to the upside and breaking structure in its path, right? We've broken structure to the upside, again, broken some structure to the upside, again, broke some structure to the upside. So we are very much in a bullish trend to the upside, okay? Let's go ahead and move into our 30-minute chart. Okay, so 30-minute chart, again, we are extended a bit away from VWAP and away from settlement. Okay, so I don't know how many of you believe in the gap fill, right? But often we come back to fill this gap. I don't know what the percentage is off the top of my head, but there's certainly a potential that we come back to fill this gap at some point, okay, in the session. All right, let's see. We're going to go ahead and open up our fixed range volume profile. We're going to start off looking at this across here. Okay, so there we have it. We have value area high offers us a nice confluence of an area for support here. This would be a nice logical area to support a long, okay, right around this 64.70, 64.75 level. Okay. Let's go ahead and open up our anchored VWAP, add the anchor VWAP to this discussion here. I'm going to go ahead and locate London. London is right about here. Okay, so London, we can see that unlike, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had kind of a little bit of a mixed bag. But looks like this even looks a little bit stronger to me than the Nasdaq. Okay, we're above our daily VWAP, we're above our anchor VWAP, and we're above settlement. So all indications are saying higher. But the moment we want to buy retail is when the market is going to right. Yeah, I would agree with you, MS. I don't think it's wise to stick our neck out on a long up at these levels, right? If we are going to participate in a long, right, let it be in an area where we can manage our risk, right? So we've identified a level here at 64.70. We have VWAP here at 64.75. These are, I would say, kind of a logical pullback for maybe a move. Now, if I'm looking at this again from a retracement perspective, and maybe that's what Trader Dubois was trying to get me to do. But if I look at this from a retracement perspective, okay, these are some logical locations. Okay, these are some logical locations, right? So we have the 38.2%. That would take us down to about 64.79, 64.76, and then 64.74. These are three areas where we would, pay a little bit less of a premium to support a long trade to the upside. Okay, so these three areas. I don't know if that's the Trader Dubois was kind of, was asking me to kind of provide that information. Okay, but this is kind of maybe if we need to, we can come back to the Nasdaq and look at the most recent swing and see what are some logical retracement levels for that most recent swing. Okay, all right. So headed into this session, I guess I would say I'm heading into a market that is showing some strong signs of momentum to the upside. I'm looking at here at momentum. I'm looking at volume. Volume is not overly, I'm not overly enthusiastic about this volume, but I'm sure the volume is going to pick up here, here in the next 13 minutes. 39%. Okay. So a gap down. Okay. So there's a 75% that we see a gap down. Faye, is that what you're saying? So I'm trying to understand this. So if we take, let's see, we take the close here, was back here. That's 39%. Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe we should be looking for opportunities that would take us, back to some of these levels below us. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's anything else I want to add to this other than to say it's bullish. But again, I'm kind of maybe looking maybe for an opportunity that would maybe take me back and maybe fill this gap that's been created with this move. Okay, so a lot of longs, right? A lot of longs in this market. Let me do a little bit of a. I'm gonna maybe add the initial balance here. I don't want to run up too close to the start of the session here, but I want to do a little one for New York here, London, I should say. Okay, so you can see, yeah, we broke well above, right? We broke well above the initial balance range that was established in London. So, and then if I change this to Asia, okay, so Asia, I believe, also provided us an extension at the tail end of the session. Okay, just at the open of London, right? So we're kind of in range in Asia. Lot of bulls in London. Yeah, so the opening price would probably be for the day is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time, right? For the day, right? So 8 p.m. Eastern time. So maybe it's measuring back from this level here to up to this level, right? Somewhere in that range. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the Dow, and then we'll do one final pass across all the markets here. I definitely want to get through the Dow. Yeah, you have a spike base at 64, 67. Yes, definitely a bullish sign. Yeah, I just don't want to get us too trapped up on the highs only for the market to kind of pull back on you, right? So I think we would all be better served in letting price maybe come back to a level where we can better manage our risk to the upside. Okay. Let's take a look at the daily again. Daily again. Yesterday I was saying, I was kind of looking a little bit more bearish on this market, right? We had a nice bearish swing. We had an engulfing candle. And instead of getting that extension or continuation move to the downside, we had a massive move, right? We had a massive move to the upside, right? Nice strong candle to the upside. And now we have a developing candle, okay? Developing candle to the upside. Now, the Dow, you see, while the Nasdaq and the ES are charting new territories up at this area, the Dow is still playing a little bit of catch up in that respect, right? We haven't gotten above this 45,250 or 255 or 300 level, right? So while we are starting to see some, bullish price action, it still has a ways to go to kind of reach some of the levels that the Nasdaq and the ES have been able to reach. But nonetheless, it's looking bullish, right? Okay, so we're starting to break some structure here to the upside. Looking at the 4-hour, this was an opportunity that I'm kind of kicking myself, okay, a little bit, because we got a nice move to the upside, provided a little bit of a pullback, and then we got our extension. Okay, maybe it was happening a little bit earlier. Now that I'm looking at maybe a wrong chart here at the moment, but we got a nice move to the upside, a little bit of pullback, and a continuation move to the upside with some volume. Again, we're starting to get some signs that we're starting to break some structure here to the upside. Now, we do have a level here at 44,000, maybe 800. And then obviously the 45,000 level that could offer us some resistance in price. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here. Okay, and we're going to take a look here and see where we are in reference to yesterday's price action. And I think I know the answer to this question, but we're going to go through this exercise anyway. We're going to go ahead and start off here at the start of the session, take that over to the close of the session, and you can see that price is above value, indicating that there's a fair number of bulls here in this market. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Right. Okay. So that area right there would offer us a nice confluence of VWAP and value area high to support along. Okay. So in similar vein, right? the Dow is also pretty extended, I would say, to the upside, right? So the question now becomes is if I want to participate in this market to the upside, what are some of the locations? Well, we've already identified the value area high here at 44,602. We have VWAP that is around 44,603. I'm going to add some Fibonacci here to this swing and see what levels those provide. Okay, so we have 44,625 is the 50% extension or retracement, I should say. That brings us down to the VWAP. We have the 38.2 at 44,644. And then right at the value area high is a 61.8% retracement at around 44,600. Okay. So these would be kind of the levels that I would be looking at maybe to look for an opportunity for a continuation move to the upside. I'm not sure I want to fade this at the moment. I'm not seeing signs of fading, but I'm also a little hesitant to buy at these levels. Okay. I don't want to be trapped. I don't want to be a trapped buyer up here. Okay. And be at the mercy of sellers here. Right. I want to be at a much better place where I can better manage my risk. Okay. All right. So I would say across the board, equities are looking bullish to me, but a bit extended to the upside. All right. So let's do a final summary of the markets here. We'll start off with the gold and see what progress gold is making. So gold seems to be showing signs of maybe a little bit of weakness here. Okay. So we're not getting the reaction that we were expecting to see yet. I'm going to go ahead and open up initial balance here. Okay. So we continue to kind of maybe push lower in this market. We are coming into some areas of the demand. Okay. But if the equities are going to be so strong, right, it stands to reason that maybe we might see a little bit of weakness in the gold. Okay, so we have an initial balance range that's established. We're inside a bearish channel. 3404 does seem to be relatively strong support. I agree there, Trader Dubois. But I need some evidence, right? I can't just treat that as right. I need some evidence either on the lower time frame, right? I need to see the 15-minute, close above this channel. I need something, right? I need some evidence that there are going to be participants that are going to offer me an opportunity for maybe a move to the upside. Okay, right? But yes, maybe we come back down to 3,400 before we make that move. What I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be looking at the initial balance range. I'm going to be looking at this bearish channel, and then I'm going to be waiting for price to indicate to me when it's time to potentially look for an entry. So while market is bearish, we are coming into some areas of demand that could offer a bounce. Crude oil market. Okay, so crude oil again. We had a nice move. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the more conservative would be to now. Certainly you can, but the more conservative path would probably be to wait for the initial balance range to break, right? But I can't. Again, I'm not here to recommend Trader Dubois. I'm here to educate. Okay, so but either option is viable as long as you manage your risk. Okay. Either one is viable as long as you're managing your risk. Okay. All right. So looking at the crude oil again, we seem to be in some sort of range kind of price action. So far, we've remained above VWAP, right? So far, we've remained above VWAP. So maybe there's a potential of price to continue to the upside because we have broken some structure here. Okay, to the upside, but we are in some sort of range kind of price action. So I remain kind of neutral. I would say neutral on crude oil until the EIA report. I don't think there's anything that we need to do very aggressive. And then looking at all the other equity markets here, okay, looking at all the other equity markets, we seem to be quite strong, okay, to the upside, which kind of spooks me here a little bit, okay. But in any case, NASDAQ is strong, right? We continue to make we continue to move higher. ES also developing a bullish candle to the upside. And then the Dow all showing signs of strength to the upside. Okay, as we head into the session. Okay, so I think if there's no questions, guys, again, I would say maybe again, gold is probably, at least right now, a little bit on the bearish side, headed into demand. Crude oil is showing some signs of bullish, but in range. And then I would say across the equities, I think we're looking at a bullish market, but that is a bit extended, I would say, to the upside. Okay, so it would not surprise me to get maybe a little bit of a pullback. Okay, a little bit of a pullback in the equities today. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for me. We'll. Yeah, absolutely. There's no need to rush to any position that you don't feel good about. Okay. As of now, gold bearish, headed into demand. Equities overextended, may wait for a pullback. Okay, excellent. You've summarized it correctly, Faye. All right. So let me show you the VWAP settings here. Okay. So, Carrie, we have anchor period is session based. Anchor period is session based. We have source is high, low, divided by 3. Okay. Source is close. Okay. These are some of the settings that I have. You're welcome, Em. Okay. So again, guys, don't forget to hit the likes, the subscribes. Okay. Give me a comment or two on the portal. Okay. On how this is kind of benefiting you. Yeah, maybe the settings are not quite right. You're welcome, Dirk. Okay. Yeah, that could, I mean, you can match up some of these settings with VWAP on Top Step and see, okay, how closely they match up. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I think that's it for me. Thanks again, Dirk. Thanks again, everyone, for your interaction. That always makes it much more interesting for me as I'm, as you guys are interacting in chat. Kind of, provides me some dialogue here that can provide you further insights on what I'm seeing in the markets. So thank you, Faye, for your contributions. Thank you, Em, for your contributions, and Trader Dubois, all, and of course, Carrie. Okay. Thanks again, guys. Have a excellent trading day today, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Okay. Trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Bye for now.